Welcome to another real one. Look, this ain't for the bougie crowd, okay? This is for the people in the mix. We talking about people, and particularly in this sector, even though there seems to be chatter that there's beef in other sectors as well, or there's some type of drama in everybody's sector, right? On these YouTube streets. So we gonna talk about how to watch the mess without becoming a part of the mess. Definitely great information. I'm going to tell you how I do it. I mean, some of you watch it anyway, but we're going to break some things down. We're going to also watch a couple of videos, little clips where, it just kind of emphasizes and re-emphasizes the fact that people experience on social media the tendencies for to be in some drama, to be exposed to some drama, and to even be addicted to the drama to an extent. But life is all about balance, right? Life is all about the balance, the balancing act. So with that being said, I'm not going to even sit here, y'all, and act like this sector is not entertaining. Listen, the roast sessions, the clapbacks, some of these folks got more drama than TV, okay, than Netflix. But when you're bored, tired, adjusting your feelings, it be hitting different. Now, this one perspective cracks me up, and we're gonna get right off into it. I just want to share this.
Watching people argue and fight over the internet, you would never catch me doing that, ever. That's like the dumbest thing in the world to me. First of all, none of us know each other. We are all strangers who happen to be aware of each other because of social media. You beefing with people who don't even live in the same time zone as you. You angry and they sleep. If you don't use Eastern Standard Time, we cannot have an issue. On top of that, I've noticed you internet people, y'all don't argue the way that I argue, because y'all be having rules and limits to what you can and can't say, what you can and can't talk about. That's not how I live my life. So, God forbid I end up going off at the mouth and I say something that y'all don't agree with. Now I'm canceled for some shit that I didn't even start. That's not fair. So for me, it's best to just stay in my own little corner and ignore everybody. But y'all keep on arguing for my sake so I can watch it. I'm not going to argue with you, but feel free to fight amongst yourselves.
So he said, they angry while you sleep. That resounds, that just resonates with me, right? You angry while they angry while you sleep. And listen, we can't just slide past the fact and ignore that this can be detrimental to people's health, to their mindset, to their disposition, to their spiritual health, to their relationships when it comes to dealing with people in their real lives, in our real lives, right? So listen, I had to peep for myself that you can watch the circus without becoming a clown. Just because you comment in a chat does not mean you got to go down with the ship when all hell break loose, okay? There is a level of participation, or for the lack of a better word, a lack of participation that can keep you out of the fire. Just keeping it relatable, keeping it real at the same time. There's a fine line between observing and engaging, y'all, okay? Listen, when you talk about sustainability, let's transition into another talking point. When you speak on sustainability of content, speaking to the content creators, particularly, it doesn't seem like it lasts long term. And if you start out with the beef, people are going to expect the beef. So you got to be mindful when you create and launch these pages, what your branding is going to look like, how it's going to definitely appear and resonate with a certain audience. And that audience is going to have an expectation of exactly what kind of content you are bringing to the table, and they're going to expect that in on a consistent level. Okay, we have to be mindful of that. So as a content creator, if you busting out and you start off and you lead with the drama and the BS, and then you find, okay, well, this isn't really going the way or the direction I thought it was going to go, it's not sustainable, and then you try to navigate and shift into something else that involves less drama, less craziness, less beef, less insults, you're going to lose that particular audience. So be mindful to people that are considering launching pages. It looks good, it's entertaining, you can engage, but it does get old. In my personal opinion, it gets old. You can only talk about one person for so long and focus in on them. You can only roast so much before it gets to where we see in this sector, particularly because this is a sector that I am in currently, that now it gets personal. People start wanting to dox your family. People want to find more ammunition to insult you, to get paid off of you, making you the content, right? It really kind of bothers me in a sense. When I say bother, I don't mean like on a personal level. I'm just saying I think it's an irritant more so than a bother for me when your entire page is focused in on bringing somebody else down, on what you call quote unquote exposing someone else, doxing them, their personal lives, their family. Everybody that comes on this apparatus doesn't sign up for you to feel entitled to become a part of their personal life. That's not what the original intent of this this content creation thing was, right? Or has been. What gives you the right as a total stranger where you can present yourself to be anything and anyone that you want to be amongst nothing but other total strangers? What gives you the right and the level and sense of entitlement to delve into their personal lives, to find the identity of their loved ones, of their family members, of their workplaces, of their schools, anything that isn't that the content creator is not forthcoming with may not be none of your business at the end of the day. So I know for me, I'm not concerned about what's going on in people's personal lives. You can really disrupt when people come on here, whether it's for entertainment, if you're a content creator, a supplemental form of income, making it ultimately a primary source of income, whatever your intent is on coming on this, as Laverne would say, jigamabob here. I don't understand why you people feel, and many of you feel, as if you are entitled or that you have a right to disrupt people's personal lives, calling jobs, writing jobs. If you feel insulted, if you feel slighted in some type of way, there are so many other options that you can choose in order to navigate these social media streets. You don't have to stay in this sector. You don't have to stay on YouTube. You don't have to stay engaged. You don't have to stay anywhere where you feel that your safety, your livelihood, your mindset, your peace is being compromised. It's just not everybody's business. And I know that that is a logical way of thinking for some, but I'm going to say this too, is that everything that everybody does behind the scenes is not for everybody else. Especially, I'm going to reiterate a bunch of strangers, a bunch of people that we really don't know, even if people are presenting themselves to be transparent. This is a great apparatus for storytelling. This is a wonderful place to be in anybody that you want to be, to impersonate and use your imagination to become anyone that you choose to be. So who really knows who on these platforms? And then you weaponize it. It becomes a weapon. People are stealing content. People are using your content and your ideas in order to launch their pages because they lack originality. They lack imagination. They lack creativity. There's a lot that goes with being a content creator, but I don't believe that each one of those things should be you having to worry about people delving into your real life situations. And good old Denzel can say it better than I can.
It off. That's what I would say. It's hard for young people now because they're hooked. They're addicted. If you don't think you're addicted, and I'm talking about anyone, from the highest to the lowest, if you don't think you're addicted, then see if you can turn it off for a week.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's see if you can turn it off for a week. How about just a 24-hour cycle? Let me say this. If it's costing me my peace, I get the hell on. I have been blessed and able to separate my real life from entertainment. Wasn't always like that, but today I am like that, right? Not taking things personal from people that you don't know. I always want to remind that because to me, that's a sign of possible insanity. Is your being so affected by a person that you ain't never exchanged no physical energy with, whether it's lunch, being in their presence, talking, FaceTime, whatever the case may be. Outside of looking on a screen, you don't know this person. That person does not know you. Why is it so hard for you to just log the hell off or move around? Why can't you just, if you can't log off, why can't you just navigate and move the hell on? Why sit in it and then try to change how somebody is interacting with you? If it affects you, if it affects your real life on a negative level, and you can't do anything about it, you done reported them to YouTube, you done tried to flag the channel, you done tried to take the channel down, you got people, coming to your defense by saying that they support you and they know that what they're saying is not true. If you can't get past any of that, then why sit in it? I just don't understand. Is it that addicting? Is your self-esteem and your image of self so low that you even entertain somebody that don't know you and put so much value in their words that you sit and you listen to what they have to say, knowing that they're inaccurate about you as a person because how they don't know you. They don't know you. But I just wanted to I had to say that because he said shout out to Will Allen, where Will Allen say log off. 2 words. How simple is that? Even if it's just for a temporary amount of time. Say that, sis. It's not addictive. It's obsession. And we got a lot of mentally challenged and disturbed people on this thing that have found a safe haven, in my opinion, to express themselves without consequences and recourse. Because I think it's apparent at this point that YouTube really doesn't care. There's a lot of community guidelines, rules, and regulations that have been established that they don't enforce. You can barely get a response from them in a lot of cases. So guess what? People are observant enough, even the mentally ill and swayed, to come on this thing and say, oh, I can be anyone I want to be. I can say anything I want to say. I can cuss folk out. I can lie on them. I can besmirch their character, demean them, and take it behind the scenes, take it off this thing here, and mess up your whole life, or at least attempt to. That requires one to be obsessed, in my opinion. And then what do? You're spending your time on and offline trying to protect what nobody knows it cost you to get at your point in your life. Ronald, I'm not dropping no link. Okay? You don't even come up in here. So welcome. You can engage in the chat, but you're not coming up on the panel. I am in the middle of a live stream, and it doesn't say open panel on my title. So respect to you, but I'm not dropping the link. Let's continue. Hold on, where is my... Y'all, excuse me, these formats, I got to get them right. Okay.
It got quiet in here, didn't it? Didn't it get real quiet? It's a tool, so we should use it. God has blessed us with free will. Now it's free will magnified, free will on steroids. You're free to go in any direction you want. It will allow you, and it's not the enemy. It's just it's just a reflection of our own free will. Oh, and we all want to be liked. But now we want to be liked by 16 million. And will now some of us do anything to be liked?
Especially those that don't know who they are. Especially those that need validation. Now, I've sought validation from people I love, from people where I have reciprocal relationships. But I'm not seeking validation from somebody I would never break bread with. That just sounds crazy to me. But then again, I think like that. My thinking goes deep like that. I'm not seeking validation, nor will my self-esteem or expecting for my self-esteem to be refined or reinforced by people that I don't even know if they have my best interests at heart to begin with. I'm just saying.
We used to do anything to be liked, but it was by the person in front of you.
Yes.
Now it's to be liked by 16 million people that you don't know.
Boom. Boom, that part. Come on, Mel. I ain't even say. Listen. Now you seeking to be liked by 16 million people that you don't even know. And a lot of them will come to the conclusion that they don't even like you. Listen, I want to play that again. There was a lot that was in there, and just to slide past it. Let's go.
Turn it off. That's what I would say. It's hard for young people now because they're hooked. They're addicted. If you don't think you're addicted, and I'm talking about anyone, from the highest to the lowest, if you don't think you're addicted, then see if you can turn it off for a week. It got quiet in here, didn't it? Didn't it get real quiet? It's a tool, so we should use it. God has blessed us with free will.
It is a tool. It was designed to be a tool, not weapon. Not a weapon. It was designed to be a tool to network, to navigate, to learn, to share information, to communicate, to add value, not to weaponize and tear somebody's entire existence down, to reach out because you have a disdain for that particular individual. You want to see the whole family go down. You want to do research. You want to pull records. And you know what gets me? And I'm going to say this. This is what really just, if it wasn't so sad, it would make me laugh. The primary people that are pulling records and doing background checks and digging into people's family lives and personal business, they got a lot to hide themselves. They ain't no better than the person that they're trying to put on Front Street, get a check, and dog out. And how, because see, and this is a legitimate question, because personally, if it doesn't benefit me, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But how are people making entire livings month after month after month, day after day after day, live after live after live, video after video after video, harping on one person? One person. You got millions of people that are on this thing here, but you are obsessed on one person that you've never met, that don't plan on meeting you. I need you to say that. I need you to say that. Because again, your thoughts, it is not sustainable. If it's not coming from a good place, it's a sign of misery. You gotta be unhappy with your existence. To eat, sleep, and shit, tearing somebody else down. How many times can you repeat the same information that you believe is true about one person? I see a whole bunch of people getting together, bouncing ideas, possible conclusions off of each other, and then they'll stamp it as the truth. What makes you such a credible source? When if somebody pulled your record, or somebody dug into your family background, your situation would probably look worse than the person you trying to drag through these YouTube streets. When I talk about protecting your peace, that's in every aspect of your life. It is in mine. If it starts to cost me my peace, I move around and do something different. It's a balancing act, because we're not living in a godly world in godly times. This world doesn't belong to God, even though He reigns over the earth. Ultimately, the dominion has been given to the demons. So God's children in this world that we're living in is a foreign place. Therefore, peace is not going to come naturally. Say that, can't hide. Come on, say that. Salute to you. Thank you for being here. all kinds of bones flying out the closet from up under the bed. I will say on the upside of this, though, that God is a lot more visible in times like this. And his presence is more indisputable in times like this. In environments like this. His presence will not be denied. His works will not be confused. I love that. Back to the peace. Did you ever, I know like when I go to prepare for a live stream, for those that are not content creators, there's a lot that goes off into preparing for a live stream if you're actually doing content. Not squeezing it in because it's just a supplemental form of income, and you got to get the watch outs in, and you just sliding it in while you doing this or you doing that. Some can successfully do that. Is it sustainable though? Do people tire? Because people can tell when you put effort and energy into preparation or preparing for something to deliver. There's a lot that goes off into it, was my point, right? You ever walk away from a live feeling drained, feeling heavy, or even mad at somebody that you don't even know? If the answer is yes, it's worth taking a look at. It's worth taking a look at. Because it's going to repeat itself. And we are beings that reverberate off of energy. If something is draining you, if something leaves you heavy, if you are maybe at a point where you are unable to separate entertainment from things that affect you in real life, that's your spirit, in my opinion, trying to tell you something. It's not going to go away until it's addressed. Don't let nobody punk you out your peace. That's the whole point. That's what all of this is about. For those that engage in the beef, if you have any peace to begin with, they don't care about their peace. They just care about you not having it. They done got accustomed to not having peace. They done got accustomed to living in chaos. They done got accustomed to being in the space that they're in. Why can't we do that for positivity? Why can't we do that for uplifting one another? Why is it the norm to drag people down, to feel like we have to get a get back? Every battle ain't mine to fight. That's why I don't respond to a lot of things that are said about me. I don't care. Their truth or their lie is not my truth. They will never enter my presence in real life. That's up to me. If I choose to engage, then it becomes a back and forth. Don't bother me. Actually, I find it comical because, again, we don't know one another. We don't know one another. I know that dragging is a sport in this sector, but if it's starting to feel like a job or an obsession, that's not entertainment. That's entanglement, in my opinion. That's entanglement. That word obsession keeps coming up because that's a real thing. People are manic out here in these YouTube streets, as well as in real life. But just like everything else, we have a choice whether we engage, whether we participate, or whether we observe. We have control over how far in we participate. Do we watch from the bushes? Do we type in the chat? Do we hit the panels? For those that are content creators, do we tap that live button and make other people's downfall and misery become our content? Absolutely. You know, when it comes to dealing with the beef, there's a lot of projection involved. You know, I pay attention to those that ain't never wrong, that don't never talk about their transgressions, that don't never admit any kind of fault, that don't never apologize, but always got something to say about somebody else. Will dig as far back into their past as is possible within their reach, and will reiterate the same garbage day in and day out, and turn around and say in the same breath, I'm good. My life is wonderful. My life is great. I'm straight over here. I'm better than you. How can you be when you eat, sleep, breathe the very thing that you are reiterating every day? And before you hit that live button, there is a level of preparation, even if it's just research, even if it's just looking at other people's content in order to get ideas and information to build your narrative. And in your mind, think that what you're getting ready to deliver when you hit that live button is fresh, new content. But yet still, you still talking about the same person day in and day out. And I'm talking to everybody that does it. Talk about calling it down the middle. I'm speaking on everybody that does it. Far and wide. The shoe fit, put it on. And I stand on that. I always hear people say, you're going to have to choose a side. You're going to have to choose a side. Here's what people don't say out loud. In order to deliver beef, you have to have an audience. You have to have on listeners and onlookers. As I've stated 100 times before, and even in this live stream, if you don't get reactions, it will die out. Nobody's listening after a certain point. You can only flip beef a certain amount of different ways before it dies out, because it is not sustainable. Even if it's years, because you're just that good, it's still going to fizzle out at some point, unless you keep getting new prey to talk about, new people to quote unquote expose. When they say what side you on, I just want to explain something. It's about control. In real life, how much do you have control on the internet? I only got control over the decisions I make. I ain't got no control. Half the time I have technical difficulties because I don't have no control over what I'm doing on the internet. That's just how little control we actually have on this apparatus. But in the minds of those that want to keep the content of beef going, that's exactly what it's about. They want you locked in and engaged emotionally. Because if you lead and you speak and you react with your emotions, you're giving them exactly what they want. That's more content. And that is the need to be right. You justify their narrative. I'm not allowing somebody that I don't know to control me. I buck control on all levels as it is with people I know and don't know. So I definitely am not going to relinquish any of my power to somebody that doesn't even know my favorite color. Don't know my age, my phone number, my family members, my marital status, all of that. Keep that in mind next time your emotions kick in and you want to justify, rebuttal, or prove wrong somebody that don't care about the truth in the first place. All they want is to engage with you. That's it. They just want to engage. Speaking of which, I want to show this next video. And I thought he explained this. If somebody can confirm or deny, this is Percy.
Use the social media to fuck over each other. You know what I mean? We get in.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Remove. I gotta remove one and add the other one. Okay.
Race to use the social media to fuck over each other. You know what I mean? We get in social media, we air out each other, we down each other, we try to. So what do you think that's attributed to? Like, why do we do that? Why we don't see white Hollywood or white influencers doing
because
that?
They don't need the money. This is a cheap hustle, man. They'll let anybody on here. I see a guy that be on everything where everybody thinking, oh, he talking, but all he doing is being a male hoe, like being a renegade without a pimp, to where they put him on there because they can't get guests.
Yeah.
So they'll put one guy on here where he'll say something crazy. They get their sound bites and likes and ain't even talking about saving nobody's life. So that to me is pimping by proximity.
Yeah. Race to use the social media to fuck over each other. You know what I mean? We get in social media, we air out each other, we down each other, we try to. So what do you think that's attributed to? Like, why do we do that? Why we don't see white Hollywood or white influencers doing
because
that?
They don't need the money. This is a cheap hustle, man. They'll let anybody on here. I see a guy that be on everything where everybody thinking, oh, he talking, but all he doing is being a male hoe, like being a renegade without a pimp, to where they put him on there because they can't get guests.
Yeah.
So they'll put one guy on here where he'll say something crazy. They get their sound bites and likes and ain't even talking about saving nobody's life. So that to me is pimping by proximity.
Yeah.
Pimping by proximity. Listen. He said a word, can't. They can't get guests. They can't use their own creativity. They can't do this. They can't do that. So what do? They manipulate the situation without boundaries in order to achieve the same goal that uplifting your brother and sister could achieve. Ken Hyde says, the only one I'm emotionally connected to is the divine. Amen. Amen to that. It's the only one I'm concerned about, and the only one that I will relinquish control to. I'm just saying. A cheap hustle. Absolutely. Limited abilities. Nothing productive to do. That's by choice. We all have abilities. You have to tap in. You got to do some work in order to recognize, refine, and build those abilities. Develop them. First, you got to know they exist. And then you have people that have abilities, they use them for derogatory purposes instead of for good purpose, encouragement, uplifting, assisting, giving. The list goes on and on and on. But let me just say this loud and clear. You don't owe loyalty to chaos. You can be cool with multiple people without becoming a human ping pong ball in their toxic games. It takes two to tango. It takes two for an exchange. Without participation of both individuals or all parties, and it's just one-sided, there's no reciprocity, there is no exchange. And it's not going to take long for them to move around because now they're looking crazy. That part. That takes trial and error. There are no surefire time frames or gauges as to when people are able to tap into their abilities or how deep it will go before that light goes off or that development happens. Most times just don't take the time to find out what they are. They spend too much of that time engaging with other people because they're jealous and envious that they were able to tap into their abilities and maximize the use of them. Oh, hey, Bolo. Oh, big shout out to you too. Salute to all her real supporters. Keep promoting her light. She is a gift. I love you back. I love you. Miss you. Hey, Bolo. Shout out to Bolo. Please, again, to my mods, feel free to drop links in the chat. I don't need to say it. You don't need to ask. Just do it if the moment moves you, okay? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bolo. Shout out to Bolo. Michelle Thought says, balance is the key. Don't stay too long. You will become what you dislike. Amen. I love that. I love that. Laverne, balance is the key. Listen, I'm telling you, it is. That's why you have good, bad, yin, yang, up, down, left, right. I'm telling you, the list goes on and on and on. Yes, absolutely. I just also want to say this. Talking about balance, right? Protecting your energy. Protecting your peace. Protecting your energy. I can't emphasize that enough. Your name is everything, especially when you're dealing on digital platforms. Most people are behind an avatar, but they are recognized by their names. If your name don't need to be in it, don't throw it in the pot. It's okay to be low key. It's okay to watch from the bushes. A lot of times people get ostracized, or like I will hear content creators make comments I know you watching from the bushes. Okay. I be doing shit. I got real life stuff over here I take care of on a day-to-day basis. I ain't got time to be sitting in no chat, speaking to, no disrespect to anybody, but speaking to the same people all day, every day in different people's chats, saying the same thing over and over. There's nothing wrong with greeting one another, but doing that all day, every day, my life isn't set up. Maybe some is, but my life isn't set up to have that kind of spare time. It just don't. Most of the time I'd be moving around. But even if I wasn't and I just decided to listen from the bushes, how is that a wrong thing? You will have the same core people typing in people's chat. I'll use Kwame's chat for an example. Yesterday, he had over 1,100 people watching the live stream at one time or in the chat, but only a handful or a very small percentage engage and actually type in the chat. You have people that have been watching him since day one that have never typed in the chat. So you need to get rid of all of that. So if people watching from the bushes, they watching from the bushes. Just be glad they watching it all. It's a view. There is power in anonymity. There is power in being low key. There is power in everybody not knowing everything about you. Because those that feel some type of way will weaponize it. They're not going to support you. They're not going to uplift you. They're not going to give you a compliment. They're not going to show you respect. They are going to flip it because they aren't who they're comfortable with, and they don't like you being comfortable with you. We all have abilities. And people underestimate silence. A lot of people will interpret silence as fear. Silence is more powerful in a lot of cases than loyalty. Let me say that again. Silence in a lot of cases is more powerful than loyalty. Come on, Shirley. Talk to me. Who can stop us from looking from the bushes? You can't make nobody do that. Exactly. But let me tell you, you give them a need for effort because they sure be trying. They sure be trying. They try to drag it out the bushes because guess what? They can't make content or respond or make an issue, have an issue with nothing, with air. They already look crazy, but you really look crazy arguing by yourself or talking about somebody that don't talk about you. You're a non-factor in their lives, on this thing and off. I love the spirit of being unbothered. I love it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and this is not, I'm just being straight up. If I'm bothered, you better beware. If I'm bothered, you might want to be cautious and beware. My silence speaks very loudly. If I'm bothered. Most of the time, I ain't even bothered. I just be moving on with my day, doing things that are important, and in the real scheme of my life, yielding progression and sustainability. I'm just saying. Hey, Northern Born Southern Rays. She says, Miss Akimi and chat. I am one of those viewers. I have been here since May 2021 when a bold and beautiful young man, after years of silence, finally retaliated. I believe in the power of silence. Amen. Amen. And there are many, out there with that exact same sentiment and story. A lot of people are very comfortable with watching from the bushes. And I'm one of those people too, even though I started, I think I was here a year, maybe a year and a half before I started typing in the chat. And then I would do it every now and again. And then I gradually came out more and more. And then here we are. Here we are. So
American adults between the ages of 16 and 74 read below a 6th grade reading level. And that's why you should never argue with people, especially people you don't know. Because you getting upset thinking it's a misunderstanding when the whole time they don't got the mental capacity to understand what you're saying anyway.
I wanted to throw that in there because it takes all kinds. And we can't ignore statistics and data. Okay? So I wanted to give a little more perspective on people that we don't know, that we don't see. And before I leave, I'm going to touch on that real quick too. Okay? Listen, I probably better than anyone can say that I understand the hesitancy of people camming up. Like when you go on, whether you're doing content, you are on panels, you have a picture on your avatar, whatever the case may be, I get it. There is a separation, in my opinion, however, for those that do to those that do not. There could be 1,000 reasons, and they can all be valid in that person's mind behind the avatar as to why they will not cam up. For those that do, there is a separation. They have facial recognition apps. So even if you are under a brand name, you are under an alias, you create a name based off of your personality, and it's not your government name, people are very resourceful, and there is so much technology to where people can find out who you are if they truly are committed to doing so. Why in the world would they ever want to do that? Eludes me, however, it does exist. What I want to say, though, is that much respect for those that do. I don't have a problem with those that don't until you drag or until you come after and have so much to say for those that do. We are not the same. We're not the same. Now you've got people from with all different mindsets, different agendas, good, bad, indifferent, that side, this side, however you want to look at it, that will cam up. I still say respect to those that do for that alone. For those that don't, but have a lot to say about those that do, miss me with it. Everybody doesn't have it in them. And a lot of people have things to hide. Be careful about casting stones from glass homes. So, Laverne, I know you got it. Whatever's going on in the chat could have been a mistake or an error. But I know I can get long-winded and I'm going to wrap it up. But I could very easily do a series on this topic. But there was some points that I wanted to absolutely key in on and talk about, because at this point, to be totally transparent and honest, I see, especially in this environment that we're in, how unsustainable the beef really is. I am glad that Kwame has, for the most part, removed himself from engaging in the beef. There's a part of me that has been believing that he even wants to see his enemies win, because he's been giving them content since he's been on this thing here. He keeps them getting people have built entire careers and channels off of his name, off of interacting with him. Even that in itself has become unsustainable. It will make the strongest people weary, tired, and frazzled, because these are energy siphons. They suck your energy. They're parasites. Then what do you have left over to be productive with, to achieve your goals with? There are so many hosts that have attached themselves to Kwame Brown. However, with the lack of engagement on his part, they've had no choice but to move around. Think about if this would have been done way sooner, where the sector would be, because it's unsustainable. For those, in closing, I'm going to say, for those that have opted to come into these spaces as a content creator and not do beef as their content, as their primary source of content, as a representation of them being a content creator, I salute you. It's slow and steady. As Laverne says, oftentimes slow and steady. That's where it separates the sustainable from the unsustainable. You have to show your abilities. You are put in a position to have to put in the work. Not saying that doing beef don't require work. It requires a different kind of work. I'm not interested in that kind of work. My energy has to be divested wisely. And if I ever got to the point where I couldn't separate the two, you wouldn't see me typing in these chats no more. And when I do, I'm still very selective as to how far in I go, what I say, and what level of my participation these chats get. There is a way, as long as you can still view it as entertainment and understand that it is drama, that in real life, this is not in the scheme of real life activities, daily walks. As long as it stays harmless. When it starts affecting people's real lives, you got to revisit that thing. And that's all I really got, y'all. I appreciate everybody for coming through. I appreciate the engagement in the chat. I'm super, super appreciative of all of the super chats, the comments, the compliments. I appreciate everybody. I hope that y'all were able to gain some edification at some point. Chew the meat and spit out the bones. If it don't apply, let it fly. All of that good stuff. But I felt compelled to come on here and say exactly what I said. And I stand on everything that I've said. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to point fingers. You know who you are. If it fit, then wear it. All I'm saying, and I'm speaking specifically to those that are able to separate and utilize the drama as entertainment. But as Miss Yothor said so eloquently earlier, you got to be careful because you can become what you dislike if you spend enough time, energy, and you get deep off into it. I choose to keep it on the surface level as if I was watching TV, even though I love engaging and it become personable and personal as far as greeting people, engaging in great conversations, comedy, jokes that are harmless. And then every now and then, hopefully we'll learn something in the process. I'm learning a lot and have learned a lot from being in this type of environment because I know that I'm here for a reason. And I'm also knowing that I'm only here for a time. Everything evolves. Nobody stays the same, whether you try, you fight against it or not. And if you do, then I believe you haven't tapped into your purpose or purposes that God put you here for. But anywho, again, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for coming through. Enjoy your day.